In this video, we are going to discuss about protein structure. Proteins are unbranched polymers. They are constructed from 22 standard alpha amino acids and they have 4 levels of structural organization. Primary structure is just the amino acid sequence, and this primary structure of protein is encoded by genetic information. Genetic information specifies the amino acid sequence, and that is what your primary structure of protein is. Now, as this polypeptide chain folds, there is formation of certain localized arrangements of adjacent amino acids, and that is your secondary structure. When the polypeptide chain folds, then that arrangement which is forming is known as the secondary structure. And the overall three-dimensional shape of the polypeptide is the tertiary structure. And if the protein is made up of 2 or more polypeptide chains, then that forms the quaternary structure. So the primary structure is the amino acid sequence. When that polypeptide chain folds, then that forms the secondary structure. The overall three-dimensional shape is the tertiary structure, and if the protein is having 2 or more polypeptide chains, then that is exhibiting quaternary structure. So these were the 4 levels of structural organization of proteins. Now, primary structure, which is represented like this as well, is just an amino acid sequence. That is all. Amino acids are connected by peptide bonds. Now, this primary structure is important, because this primary structure is going to decide the higher levels of structural organization. How the tertiary or quaternary structure of that particular protein is going to be, that will be decided by its primary structure. Secondary structure. Now, the most common secondary structures are alpha helix and beta pleated sheet. Now, this alpha helix and beta pleated sheets are stabilized by hydrogen bonds between the carbonyl group and the NH groups of the polypeptide backbone. There is formation of hydrogen bond between the carboxyl group and the NH group of the polypeptide's backbone, and that is what is stabilizing your alpha helix structure or the beta pleated sheet structure. Now let's discuss about alpha helix structure. Now this alpha helix is rigid rod-like structure, and the formation of this structure occurs when the polypeptide chain is twisted into the helical conformation. When polypeptide chain is twisted into the helical conformation, then that is forming your alpha helix. Now the screw sense of this alpha helix can be right-handed or left-handed, and if it is right-handed, then we call it as clockwise, and left-handed as counterclockwise. Well, everybody knows that. Now the thing is that the right-handed helices are energetically more favorable. In almost all proteins, the helical twist of the alpha helix is right-handed. And why is that? Because right-handed helices are energetically more favorable. Now there are about 3.6 amino acid residues per turn of a helix, and the pitch of this helix is 0.54 nanometer. This pitch is the distance between the corresponding point per turn. So 3.6 amino acid residues are there per turn of the helix, and the pitch of the helix is about 0.54 nanometer. Now each amino acid residue is related to next one by rise of 1.5 angstrom along the helix axis. Now single turn of the alpha helix involves 13 atoms from O to H of the H bonds. Okay, 13 atoms of oxygen and hydrogen are involved in the single turn of the alpha helix, and those atoms are of the hydrogen bond, and that is the reason why the alpha helix is referred to as 3.613 helix. Now the length of this alpha helix is about 10 to 15 amino acid residues. Now this interchain hydrogen bonds form between the NH group of each amino acid and the carbonyl group of the amino acid, which is 4 residue away, and that is how the formation of alpha helix is taking place. Okay, by the formation of the intra-chain hydrogen bonds between the NH group of each amino acid and the carbonyl group of amino acid that is 4 residue away, the formation of alpha helix takes place. So this is how hydrogen bonding arrangement in the alpha helix looks like. Now if you are considering this oxygen atom, which is designated as 1, and this hydrogen atom, which is designated as 13, now this whole thing is one turn. Okay, the one turn of the alpha helix is made up of these 13 atoms. So consider this is your first amino acid residue and it has your carbonyl group. Now as you can see, this carbonyl group is hydrogen bonded with the next fourth amino acid residue, and it is bonded with NH group. Okay, so this is how the hydrogen bonding is taking place in your alpha helix. Okay, this is also the carbonyl group of the second amino acid residue, and that is forming the hydrogen bond with the fifth amino acid residue, and the 13 atoms are involved in one turn of alpha helix. Now except for the amino acids which are present at the end of the alpha helix, okay, except those, all main chain CO group and NH group are hydrogen bonded. Okay, all main chain CO and NH are hydrogen bonded in alpha helix structure. Side chain of amino acids extend outwards of the helix. Okay, so if this is your helix, then the side chains will go something like this. They will extend outwards. Now all hydrogen bonds which we just saw lie parallel to the helix axis and point in the same direction. Now this helices can be formed of D amino acids as well as L amino acid, but the given helix should entirely contain one configuration amino acid. Okay, it should be either only D amino acid or only L amino acid. Alpha helix cannot be formed by the mixed copolymer of the D amino acids and L amino acid. Okay, this is not possible. It is either D amino acid or L amino acid. Now this L amino acids can either form right-handed alpha helix or left-handed alpha helices. Okay, either they can form right-handed or left-handed. Okay, so this is the structure of alpha helix. Okay, in one turn there are 3.6 amino acid residues, and the pitch The pitch is of about 0.54 nanometer, that is the distance it rises per turn. Now the helix structure is defined by two things: the pitch, that is the distance between two successive turns, and rise per residue. Now the number of amino acid residues per helical turn is about 3.6. Now in a right-handed alpha helix, the complete turn of helix is made up of 3.6 amino acid residues, and the distance rises per turn, that is the pitch, is of 0.54 nanometer. Okay, the pitch is 0.54 nanometer and the complete turn of helix contains 3.6 amino acid residues. Now the R group, that is the side chain of each amino acid residues of the alpha helix, face outwards. Now in the alpha helix, the hydrogen bonds are within the single helix, and these hydrogen bonds are almost parallel to the helix axis. Okay, the hydrogen bonds are within the single helix and almost parallel to helix axis. Now amino acids have different propensities while forming alpha helices. Okay, so amino acid residues such as alanine, glutamine, glutamate, leucine, methionine and arginine will show a higher tendency to form alpha helices, and other amino acid will show a little tendency to form alpha helices. Okay, that is what this sentence means, that the amino acids have different propensities to form alpha helices. Now if you consider proline, then proline disrupts this alpha helical structure. Okay, it disrupts alpha helices as it lacks the NH group. Okay, the ring structure of this proline restricts its phi value near minus 60 degrees, and that is the reason why this proline is disrupting the alpha helix. Now let's talk about beta pleated sheets. Now this beta pleated sheet forms when two or more polypeptide chain segments line up side by side. Okay, when two or more polypeptide chain segments are lining up side by side, then that is forming your beta pleated sheet structure. Now each individual segment is referred to as beta strand. Now this beta strand is not coiled. Rather than being coiled, this beta strand is fully extended. Now the distance between the adjacent amino acids on a beta strand is about 3.5 angstrom as compared to the distance of the alpha helix, which is 1.5 angstrom. Okay, if you are considering alpha helix, then the distance between the adjacent amino acid is about 1.5 angstrom, and in case of beta strand, the distance between the adjacent amino acids is about 3.5 angstrom. Now these beta pleated sheets are stabilized by interchain hydrogen bonds, and these interchain hydrogen bonds are formed between the NH group of polypeptide backbone and the carboxyl group of adjacent strand. Okay, there is formation of this interchain hydrogen bond between the NH group of a polypeptide backbone and a carboxyl group of the adjacent strand, and that is what is making your beta pleated sheet. Now this adjacent strand can be either parallel or it can be anti-parallel. Now in case of parallel beta pleated sheet structures, the polypeptide chains are arranged in same direction. Okay, polypeptide chains are arranged in same direction in case of parallel beta pleated sheet structures. And if you are considering anti-parallel beta pleated sheet structure, then the polypeptide chains run in opposite direction. Now this anti-parallel beta sheets are more stable than the parallel beta sheets because of this collinear hydrogen bonds. Okay, in case of antiparallel beta sheets, there is formation of collinear hydrogen bonds, and that is the reason why this antiparallel beta sheets are more stable. So this is how the beta pleated sheet looks like, and as you can see, this structure is antiparallel, that is, this strand is running opposite with respect to this strand. Okay, this is N terminus, this is C terminus. These two are antiparallel, and as you can see, the hydrogen bonds are collinear, and that is the reason why this structure is more stable. And if you consider the parallel, that is C terminus to C terminus and N terminus to N terminus, if the two chains are parallel, then you can see the hydrogen bond is not collinear, and that is the reason why this parallel beta pleated sheet is less stable as compared to the antiparallel. And one more thing to observe, that the hydrogen bond formation is taking place between the NH group of one amino acid strand to the carboxyl group or carbonyl group of the another amino acid strand. Okay, so this is what is making the beta pleated sheet structure. Now in this antiparallel beta pleated sheet, the adjacent strands run in opposite direction. Now the hydrogen bonds between the NH group and CO group connects each amino acid with the single amino acid of the adjacent strand. Now in case of parallel beta sheets, the adjacent strand run in the same direction. Now hydrogen bonds, okay, in this beta pleated sheet structure, what is happening is the hydrogen bond is connecting each amino acid of a particular strand to two different amino acids which are present on the adjacent strand. Okay, each amino acid is connected to two different amino acids which are there on the adjacent strand. Now for each amino acid, the NH group is hydrogen bonded with the CO group of the amino acid which is present on the adjacent strand. Okay, whereas the CO group is hydrogen bonded with the NH group of the amino acid with the chain, along the chain. Okay, so that is all for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.